Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. I hope you forgive my English because I don't speak English on a regular basis, so I'll do my best. Please don't hesitate to raise your hand and ask me whatever you want. Slowly, okay? But I'll try to do my best. I'm professor at FGV Law School. All of our students deals with law. They are lawyers, they are prosecutors all over the country. Brazil is a big country, like US, like Canada. And we have a very interesting story to tell you this evening. Just a little brief story of what we are doing. All my academic career, I was working with law, tax law, international trade. But I'm also a nerd, a big one. So big that like 35 years ago, a lifetime ago, my first graduation at university was in computer science. So I think, why don't bring these things together? So I have many classes, many courses on law school, but I tried to something new. I tried to deploy a course, a semester, about tokenomics, crypto assets, and marketing of tokenomics and ICO, IDO, and blockchain technology. And it's quite different because it's not a legal class. We don't talk that much about regulation or tax. We talk about blockchain technology, layer 1, layer 2, maybe Merkle trees, cryptography, and stuff like that. So what we did, we offered this course. It's a semester-long course. It's an elective course. And for my surprise, we had like 30 students, which is overbooked. It's overcrowded for an elective course at master's or PhD degree. Usually we have like 15 students in these classes. And I said, wow, 30 students, that's gonna be great. And the day we started, there were a waiting list of 20 more students for the next semester. So we did something that we never did before. We offered the course twice in a row. And for the second time, there was, again, 30 students. And another waiting list for next year, 2024, of 25 students. So I think, wow, people are really interested in technology because we are talking about technology for people who are lawyers, for people who work from 9 to 7 dealing with process, with legal stuff. So it turns on light because I said, people are embraced by technology. We live in a technological world. So let's take a step further. Let's try to do something concrete. Why not build not only a research, but as well a concrete product, a DeFi product? When you think about DeFi, what kind of product would be a challenge? Any suggestions? We have many kind of products. One which is quite complex is a DEX, is a decentralized exchange. And why is that? Because in the DEX, you can perform a lot of transactions. We have many smart contracts interacting. You can do some staking, you can do farming, you can mint NFTs, you can trade NFTs, you can buy and sell NFTs. So we have many, many smart contracts working together. On a technical level, for people that are only students of law, it's a challenge. So on top of that, we have an AMM. We heard today, at breakfast, Ripple saying they will try to implement an AMM, automatic market maker, which is a huge algorithm which deals with all the transactions, things like slippage. And you saw the math earlier today. So there's a lot of stuff going on. So I try, let's do this. Since we're going to deploy something, let's try to build something complex, some different, and we decided to build a DEX, okay? A decentralized exchange. We divided the project into 2 phases. Phase 1 is an in-depth theoretical study of the challenges of creating a DEX. And we produce a report on that. It's a technical report, like 200 pages, like this. This is for Lauren, I'll give you later. And in this report, we analyze all the framework of building a DEX in Brazil, which applies to everywhere in the world, aside from small details, because we divided the team, we're going to show you in the next slide, into groups, into teams, and we simulate the creation of a DEX through a startup company. So we put all the students to work within teams of specific areas for a startup company. And we have phase 2 of the project, which is the creation of the DEX itself, of the website, to deploy the code and do everything. So this was our challenges like 6 months ago, like a semester ago. We have 25 legal students. They don't have a background on technology, computer science, or economics. They are lawyers. They work as lawyers from 9 to 6, 9 to 7. They never, they are probably lawyers because they run off the math stuff and they did something different. So we have a different research model. How does the research work? Tell me. We have mostly 2 or 3 professors, 2 or 3 main researchers, and maybe 1 or 2 assistants. It's quite easy to manage this. It's very easy to have the goals set. In this case, we have 25 students to manage. And I don't know if it's accomplished, but I think on top of that, we decided to, in the spirit of decentralization, in the spirit of decentralization, I decided everything we are going to do is going to be voted. And one person, one vote, we use the DAO model for decision making. So I don't know if the project will be great, if it will work on any level, but this is accomplishment. How to install a fully working democracy in an environment with 25 lawyers. With 2 would be difficult, 25 is a challenge. So that's what we try to do. We have these relevant technological issues because the software itself is a little bit complicated, and we have time and availability constraints because all of these students work. We have a professional master's degree. They're not academic researchers. They don't spend all day long just researching. They work from 9 to 5. They're prosecutors, they're judges, they're lawyers, so they have like 5 to 6 hours each week to use for this project. And on top of that, we did the result, the report. I'm quite happy with the report. If we see, just help me on this. When you see this scenario and everything I tried to show you, you can think, what could possibly go wrong? Okay, many things. But I think they did a great job, and the result is this. We did division. We split the students, like 30 students, 29 students, into 9 teams. And each team had to research a specific point of the project. So we have the tokenomics team, which is the heart of any DEX, because I have to think about inflationary, deflationary, allocation of tokens, a lot of stuff. We have the white paper team, we have the blockchain team, which had the mission to choose what blockchain we're going to use, the marketing team, IDO, ICO team, contracts team, regulation, and taxation. To deal with all these teams, we have chosen 2 product owners that were responsible to manage the teams together, and all the decisions were made by DAO. Everything was voted, everything. You could ask me, what kind of activities did you vote? From the definition of the DEX name, we're thinking as a startup, so we need to have a good logo, a nice name. I'll show you the name later on. Decision of the name, the logo, the governance token. With legal analysis, can we register the website? Can we use this name for legal purpose? So I'm going to show you in a moment. We have people working with the marketing plan. Let's remind you, lawyers creating a marketing plan. It's different, huh? We have the choice of blockchain for app development. At the time, we did some voting, and it chose a blockchain. which is not Ripple, because at the time there was no sidechain for Ripple. But today, at breakfast, we have the great news. Ripple is going to produce, is going to make a blockchain, sidechain, and we're going to use EVM-compatible blockchain. We'll be very happy to deploy our software on Ripple sidechain. We have contracting code auditing companies. Companies like Certic, Slowmist, Zaki Labs, because if you want to launch a DEX software, a decentralized app, there are many concerns about the code. You have to audit the code to be sure there is no backdoors, no problems with the code, so you have to contact these coding companies. We have to create the white paper, and I'll talk about this a little bit later. White paper is not just a pamphlet, it's not just something I use to sell the project. I use the white paper with a lot of concerns because white paper can imply many regulations. We have central bank regulations, we have SEC equivalent in Brazil regulations, because if you launch a DEX, you are doing an ICO, an IDO, so you have to talk with all public bodies about it. We have the development of the project tokenomics. Tokenomics, it's not an easy subject. You have to think what kind of inflationary model we're going to use. You see the math earlier today. We have the launch planning. We're going to do an ICO, IDO. We have to design and build all the contracts, the regular contracts, the legal contracts, like terms of use, private rules, QIC, QIP, and so on. We have the study of the regulatory environment and contact with Brazilian public bodies. We talk to everyone. We talk to our friends at IRS and said, if you build the DEX, what kind of taxes are we subject to? We talk to our friends at the central bank in Brazil. We talk to CVM, which is the equivalent of SEC in US. And we have a lot of meetings with these guys, a lot of technical exchanges of information, and we asked them many, many questions, and some of them are still unanswered today. Why is that? Because when you think about a decentralized DeFi environment, we are navigating uncharted waters. It's mostly an unregulated market, so we don't know, we don't have answers for everything, so it's quite important. And the last group made the analysis of the taxation of DEX-related transactions. Yes, please.
Yeah, the contracting the code auditors, are these code auditing companies, is this traditional kind of QA, or is this more smart contract, legal policy analysis?
Great question. It's a smart contract. You have to lend them your smart contract, your code, and they do the auditing on the code to see the code is okay, the code is a Solidity code or Java code, and it's okay, has no backdoors, has no problems at all. You can deploy it. Maybe, most of the times, the investors want you to renounce the code because they want you to change the code on the fly. Because you do an IDO, you make a beautiful tokenomics, and then you change the code, so you can change the code. That's why these companies sign for, okay? And using the DAO model, what were our voting results? What did we vote, among other things? We elected the name Toshi, which is a natural reference of Satoshi Nakamoto, and we used the Toshi as our name. So the DEX, the project, and the governance token will be called Toshi. We even registered toshiswap.io, which is the address we're going to use. We chose and we vote the logo. The logo is like an 80s logo. It's not my logo, but we voted on this, like an Atari, for those who are gamers, like an 80s logo. At the time, we analyzed a lot of blockchains, a lot of them. It was important to be an EVM compatible one. So we look at Ethereum, maybe Polkadot, Cardano, and we chose Velas. Yesterday at dinner, somebody asked me, why did you choose Velas? I never heard of Velas. Velas is a Swiss-based company. It's a very fast, very ESG-friendly environment and blockchain, and it's cheap. You can make like 100 transactions for less than $1. At the time, when we did the voting, like 5-6 months ago, we didn't have the good news that Ripple is going to have a sidechain. So we are eager to talk with Ripple guys and to deploy our software, not on Velas, but probably on Ripple's sidechain as long as it's ready. And we had the definition of the token's characteristics, allocation, distribution. What was our objective? To simulate the creation of a startup company with all its departments and to build a DEX based on regulation, tax regulations, and everything else. Okay? What were our main findings? Something we consider quite important in our research. Yes, please. Back again?
Questions to the end.
Oh, I thought he asked us to put our hands up and ask questions.
Oh, if you can. Oh, go ahead. I'm managing the time, so take your time.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Go there. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just thought you invited us to ask questions.
Yeah, sure.
I'm curious about the governance voting for things like the selection of the blockchain. I assume that you just assumed an equal stake for all 25 participants. So it's a one person, one vote situation.
One vote, one person situation.
And you had a subcommittee that was tasked with doing an evaluation of blockchains, and they made a recommendation to the group?
Yes.
Now, did the people involved in that recommendation have a greater stake in the voting, or?
No, the same.
The same stake in the voting?
Everyone have a single vote, and every stake was the same.
So
I don't know if it's a perfect democracy, but it's a democracy at all. So the guys from marketing team, they never heard of blockchain technology. The people that chose the blockchain, they said, we think Velas is a good one, but let's vote Velas, Cardano, Polkadot, Ethereum, and we have a matrix, I can show you later. We have a matrix with all advantages and disadvantages of each blockchain. And then we vote and Velas won.
Okay.
So that's the difficult of the DAO, because when you said DAO, it's for real. Everyone has a vote. I'm not an expert of marketing. I'm not an expert of blockchain, for instance, but I have to trust my colleagues. I have to trust the research they made. So it's interesting. One thing that's important is that we have an executive committee. It's important. When you try to implement a democracy, you have the voting system, but you have a committee that moves things forward. We have to push things. So the committee is one that goes to every team and asks them for results and go for achievements. So next one. Some of our relevant findings. The importance of the white paper, not only as a tool for publicizing the project, but meeting the regulatory requirements. That's quite important. Our friends at Central Bank or friends at SEC will say, wow, if you're launching a DEX, it can be an IDO, an ICO, so what kind of requirements do you have to comply? So it's quite important. Many people in the DeFi space use the white paper. You saw that. The white paper as a pamphlet, as something to marketing tool. It's not this. If you say some things at the white paper, you have to commit to them and you have to get the proper regulations. The other thing we found out is that tokenomics is the core of any crypto project. You have to be a good tokenomics, you have to think on long term, you have to think what value and what kind of token your clients, your consumers will use and hold, which is more important. And highlighting the team responsible for project and the founder's commitment to the long term. We have vesting, we have many tools to try to assure this. I don't know if you know DeFi environment well, but most of the projects are anonymous. You don't see who are behind them. We see projects like $100 million, $1 billion, and you don't know who are behind them. We have some examples earlier today. What else? Some legal challenges about this. Decentralized exchange pose a substantial regulatory challenge, as imposing obligations on their users is very difficult. This is a problem. I don't know if you agree. Who is behind? Who are the users? If you're talking about DEX, there is no KYC. You don't have to pass your identification. You are just someone behind a cryptographic wallet. I don't know who you are. It's quite difficult to go after you. A viable alternative would be using regulation by design. There are many forms of regulation, but maybe one viable alternative, regulation by design. I have to integrate minimum guarantees into the source code, smart contracts, and have them both audited. And maybe I can show them to the authorities and see, is that okay? Does it make sense? Does it comply to some regulations? Because we know SECs, centralized exchanges, are very, very regulated. They have a lot of obligations. You have KYC. In a DEX, you don't have. There are no practical solutions for taxing gains from crypto assets within a decentralized ecosystem. I have a tax background. I work for the IRS back in Brazil. So this is a problem. I used to use a metaphor. When you pick your tokens and move them to a decentralized environment, you're putting them into a black hole. I don't know what you're going to do there. You can do staking, investments, you can lending your tokens, you can do everything. How will I know that you are making money, that you are gaining capital on this? It's quite impossible. So, what's the alternative? Once upon a time, you have to swap your fiat currency to tokens. So I record this one. You need a centralized exchange for this. Then you put and move your tokens behind your MetaMask wallet, and then you do whatever you want over there. Maybe someday you're going to bring back your tokens and convert them again to fiat currency. And then I can calculate the capital gain. This is what I do in Brazil right now. If you buy Bitcoins, $10,000 of Bitcoins, and 3 months later, you sell those Bitcoins for $20,000, there will be a 50% gain on the selling. But I have to know if you change fiat currency to Bitcoins and then Bitcoins back to fiat currency. If you keep your Bitcoins, if you put them on a DeFi space, you probably won't have this situation. A final note, I'll be finishing no more than 2 minutes. The Toshi, which is our project, aims to introduce the academic community to the necessary steps and challenges in creating and launching decentralized exchanges in Brazil. Not only in Brazil, but I think everywhere. I have this report printed, but I also have the PDF. I will be glad to share with you. This is an academic project, so we do not intend to obtain financial resources. We don't have to create liquidity pools. We don't want to put money on this. It's not our purpose. What we want, the Toshi platform can and should function as a practical example for educational purposes. We want this to be a free and safe environment where anywhere and everywhere people can do some swapping, staking, or farming transactions. So, to finish in 2 slides, I would say that if it works, okay. No, don't spoil the final one. We have a dream. We have a dream. We believe in the educational potential of Toshi, which will serve as a gateway to the world of crypto assets. Through anyone can learn about the main features of crypto investments and carry out transactions easily, free of charge, and safely. So it would be very important to have the partnership, once again, with Ripple to install the software in their sidechain and see what we can do in this matter. And actually, well, actually have 2 dreams. We are from Brazil, so we dream a lot, okay? It's important for us. We intend to use the Toshi platform as an alternative to traditional academic records. I have a paper on this. I don't know for you guys here in Canada or in the US, In Brazil, a student maybe takes like 6 months to get his or her diploma. It takes a long time. And maybe this boy and girl, he or she needs the diploma for a job, needs for something. And this diploma costs a lot of money. You say, how much? Like $100. And you have people that that can't afford $100 for a diploma. So I think maybe we can use the platform to issue diplomas as NFTs, and with this we can replace traditional diplomas and certificates with speed, low cost, and security. And maybe we can help students applying for their first job to generate and distribute their CVs through blockchain easily. My dream is that a boy or a girl looking for their first job just press a button and have all their academic records, all their history freely, instantaneously, and they just share a hash address through the blockchain. Okay? Please.
Surely an academic record would have to be sold now, right?
Yes.
Attached
Yes.
to the person. So what would the point of putting it on an exchange be?
No, the exchange is the point for our project. We don't have this in our original project. We think, once you have the software deployed, what are you going to do with this? We have to use this for educational purpose. Okay, so we want to use the capacity of minting NFTs and talk to the universities and use soul-bound tokens. SBT is at the core of this functionality. But this is something different. This is a dream. This is dream number 2. Okay? This is not a DEX function. DEX is just for educational purposes. You're going to learn how. I don't know if you all agree. There is a big barrier, a steep learning curve for using DeFi environment by yourself. Okay? It's difficult. It's not like a bank app. You just press some buttons. You have the fear to lose your keys. You have the fear of doing something wrong, to send your tokens to someone and never see them back. So this is our point. But maybe on our second dream, this is something we can achieve. Thank you very much.